Welcome to episode 368 of the AM/PM podcast. This week, my guest is Izabella Ritz. Izabella is originally from Russia, where she was a successful entrepreneur. She came to the United States in 2015, not speaking any English, and she taught herself English by learning how to sell on Amazon. And now she runs a very successful agency, and she's got some really cool and fascinating stories and approaches to how she does Amazon. I hope you really enjoy this episode. And don't forget, be sure to sign up for the Billion Dollar Sellers newsletter at billiondollarsellers.com. It's totally free. New issues every Monday and Thursday. Enjoy.
Welcome to the AM/PM podcast. Welcome to the AM/PM podcast, where we explore opportunities in e-commerce.
We dream big and we discover what's working right now.
Plus, this is the podcast where money never sleeps, working around the clock in the AM and the PM.
Are you ready for today's episode?
I said, are you ready? Let's do this. Here's your host, Kevin King. Kevin King.
Welcome to the AM/PM podcast, Izabella Ritz. Look who's here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Kevin, the king.
It's good to have you. You know, the first time I actually heard about you, I think it was with Bradley Sutton. He was doing, I think you came on the Serious Sellers podcast. I remember I was driving somewhere, running an errand. I think I'm going to the post office, taking some packages or something. And here's this girl with this accent saying she's from Russia and has this big Russian community. And she's talking about profit margins and stuff on there. Do you remember that podcast?
I do remember this podcast. I remember how we've been filming this podcast, and I was actually in the same room before we moved out from this house to Virginia. And now we came back, and now I have a different background. Yeah, I think that was my first milestone that I achieved. Like Bradley Sutton is asking me some questions, and I'm going to Serious Seller podcast. Then the second one we did, I think in 2021, and now I'm here, first time with Kevin the King.
Yeah, first time on the AM/PM podcast, but it's about time, right? Your background is pretty interesting, pretty fascinating. We'll talk a little bit about that. So you grew up in Russia, and you came to the U.S. As an adult, but you were pretty successful in Russia, not necessarily in Amazon or e-commerce, but doing other things like interior design. And you kind of hit your ceiling over there, where it was like, I think you told me one time, it's like, you know what, I'm making so money, it's actually dangerous how much money I'm making. And it's not a good thing that I'm being this successful. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, you've been an entrepreneur since you're like a little girl?
Yeah, I'm in the United States. I can talk these things on record. Anyway, back in Russia, you have, genuinely speaking, some limits when you're making money. And my first business was business training studio, and I had a web design studio and an infographic studio and like some other studios. Like I realized at some point that I have such a proven track record of different type of the agencies that I even didn't know about it till I started thinking about it, like what type of the businesses I was doing. And interior design, I was doing for almost 14 years, and I sold this company 3 times, and I created it 3 times. And
the same company 3 times, or you create 3 different interior design companies?
3 different interior design studio, because in Russia you don't have non-compete agreement, and you, generally speaking, can create the same business. And I was feeling so bad by recreating the same business one more time, because I'm like, damn, I sold this business, there's people, and I was watching how this business is going after I sold it. And the first time I sold this business, the lady said, okay, we're shutting down the website. I'm like, you cannot do it. You can shut down the website. This website is bringing you clients. This website is actually generating your leads. Yeah, you're having 2 contracts a day. You cannot shut down the website. She said, I don't like how it looks like. I'm like, damn, this blonde, blue eyes lady decided to have the interior design studio without knowing how to run the studio. And I was waiting till this company that I created and I sold will probably die, so I will not have this bad feeling by creating the new one. And when I saw how she killed the company, I was super sad. But I'm like, okay, so now it's the empty field again. I can fill it out because I missed it. I at first I didn't want to do it again, and then I missed it. So I created this design studio again, and it was successful again. And then I sold it again, and I'm like, no, I'm never doing it again. That's it. It's over. And then it was the year of 2010, and my friend came to me and she said, "What are you doing right now?" I'm like, "Well, we're running a couple of businesses and we're doing construction and we did something else at this time." And she's like, "Can you help me to do the interior design studio?" I'm like, "Well, I think I can, yeah." And I helped her to do the interior design studio, and we became partners. And then she backed out, and I stayed with this studio again. I'm like, okay, so I guess I have this business one more time. We had an office in a very center of the city, Moscow, next to Red Square. But we had a limit of how much money we can make before someone will knock on our door by asking, like, listen, you're making too much. You probably should share the amount of money you're making. And now I would have to give up my company, or to share the profits. And I really didn't want to do it. So as many of like Russian entrepreneurs, I believe they still do that. You're doing pretty much, you're not charging people officially. They're not paying you straight to your bank account. They're bringing you cash. And I remember I still have my Louis Vuitton bag that I was going in the metro and the subway, and this Louis Vuitton bag was filled with cash, with a lot of cash. And I was opening at some point, I'm like, damn, I'm scared to be in the subway with this amount of money. I shouldn't look that fancy. And I was scared. So anyway, and I tried to make it right. I tried to pay taxes. I tried to um, be honest and transparent, but it never worked because people are coming to you and they're saying, I want to pay you cash. And I'm like, okay, you want to pay me cash means I cannot be transparent here. I cannot be transparent there. So the system worked the way where you have to hide something. You have to always protect something and hide something. And it's pretty stressful. It's stressful when you're coming home and you have to always look back, like if someone is following, if someone not following. So it is not cool. And at the same time, I was traveling a lot. I was traveling all over the world, and I was living before United States. I was living in Bali and Thailand and Spain. And I was considering to move to one of these countries. But something came up, and we decided to explore United States. And we came to United States, and I got lost because I realized that I don't know English at all. Like, I can't speak. I knew this, and this, that, and that, high and by, and that's it. And I was facing the situation when people been asking me, okay, what's your social security? I'm like, what's that? So what is your credit score? I'm like, I have no idea what it is. So to rent an apartment here, I had to have, I believe, 12 month worth of my rental to show to the property that I have this money on the bank account, so I'm able to cover the expenses. So luckily I had this amount at the time. And I started searching, like, what I supposed to do, like what business can I have here, and what are the obligations. I realized that I don't have to ask anybody if I have the limits of the revenue, because I don't have them. I have the tax brackets. I learned it later, but but I have like, I don't have any limits. I don't have hide anything. And I was asking, okay, so now I have money on my bank account, my business bank account. So how can I use this money, utilize for myself? And someone told me, you just charge the card and you use this money for yourself. I'm like, it's impossible. It's impossible. My head could not understand that I can charge the bank card and I can use with my personal purposes without being scared. And that was such a transformation. And like, even by saying it right now, I think it's so weird, especially after I was living here for so many years. I understand it sounds so stupid and weird, but it's a reality. Like people come in here, they keep trying to hide stuff. When I meet some like new immigrants from Russia or Ukraine, they keep trying to do that. I'm talking like, guys, you don't have to do it. It's normal. They're like, can you pay me cash? I'm like, no, I am paying you Zelle, or I am paying you like I can transfer you. I can use like Venmo. They're like, but can you pay me cash? I'm like, no, I am like, I need to deduct money that I pay you. Otherwise, I will have to pay taxes. Then how are you gonna pay taxes? I'm like, because if I'm not paying you, if I'm not deducting this amount, I have to pay taxes as my income, and people cannot get it. And I understand when I came here, I couldn't get it. So this is like the very interesting part that I went through when I was facing the reality of absolutely different mentality that is not just the sentence structure, it's the whole economic structure, lifestyle, housing, everything was so different. And yeah, answering your question about success there, yeah, I was successful there, and I'm sure if I would stay, I would be somewhere where I would have to share my income with the government, and I don't know actually if I would be alive or not.
What year did you actually come to the U.S.?
2015.
2015. So you came in. So just 8 years ago, you didn't speak hardly any English.
No.
So did you learn? Did you take classes here, or did you just learn by just immersing yourself, or watching TV with subtitles, or how did you learn it?
That was very interesting. People like the people that been living here, they said, okay, you have to go to library has free classes for people that want to learn English. I went to the library. After 3 classes, I realized that I'm already ahead of everybody. Okay, I need something advanced. People told me you have to watch TV, and then by watching TV I always feel itchy, because by watching TV I'm wasting my time that I can be productive. So I watched a couple of movies with the subtitles. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I need to do business. I will figure out my English. And I actually started learning my language by learning Amazon account, Seller University. When I find out that, okay, let me try to do business on Amazon, and I pulled up the account, Seller Central, and I started learning stuff about Amazon inside of Seller Central. I just went through the help. I went through like how to create the listing, what I supposed to do, first step, second step. And if you remember Amazon in 2015, that was pretty simple.
So were you reading it or taking it like things you didn't understand, using Google Translate to
I
translate
was
it?
using Google Translator. Yeah, I was using
Yeah.
Google Translator, and I tried to understand as much as I can. And I was translating again and back and forth. And I had a lot of notes that I was building these schemes for myself to understand, okay, if I do this, then I have to do this. It was just, I was diving in, and I didn't want to learn from any Russian gurus, because I have this belief, if you are not in a place where this business is happening, it's probably something off. So I'm like, no, if I'm going to learn from somebody, I will learn from somebody here. But I can't learn from somebody here because I don't know language. So go and do yourself. So I was learning myself how to do that. And I remember when I went to my first SellerCon, it was in 2019, and I was listening to people from the stage. And I remember Ezra was speaking there too. And I was taking notes, and I was literally translating while they speak what they're talking about. So in 2019, I was already understanding people, but I couldn't understand a lot of terminology still. So this is how I was learning on the go. And the moment I got married, American guy, this is where my biggest improvement happened, where I realized that, okay, so I guess now my English is supposed to improve from day to day, and this is where I am right now. I'm probably a little bit nervous and I'm repeating myself, but I think I'm pretty fluent, and I can speak from the stage, and I still have a lot of grammar mistakes, but I can make myself understand.
Yeah, you're doing a really good job. I mean, for someone that didn't speak it 8 years ago, and you taught yourself by starting on Amazon, and that's pretty cool, actually. That's I really like. So, what got you into Amazon? So, you came in 2015. I guess you said you got married to an American later on, but who I know is a great guy. But in 2015, I guess came here with somebody else, and
Yeah, I
and
came with
then
my ex-husband and with my three
was he
children.
Russian or was he?
He was Russian, yeah.
Okay.
With my ex-husband, with my 3 children at the time, with one stepdaughter and my mother-in-law. So I have this whole train of people.
Okay.
and all adults didn't work. So I had to.
How did you come in on a tourist visa, or did you come in? Did y'all
Yeah,
get some?
we came on B1, B2 visa. And I had to take care of those people. And I was like, okay, so what business should I do? What business should I do? And I was literally Googling, and some Russian people here, they're like, okay, let's do this business. We can help you out. I never actually disclosed it at any podcast and anywhere, but this was the auto business. And they're like, okay, we're buying cars on auctions. We can make you a lot of money. And I gave them 100 grand, and I really believed that it is gonna work, and it didn't work. So I lost this 100 grand of the bad, and I realized that, like, okay, now I don't have anything to invest, and I don't have any income here, and I didn't have any income from Russia as well. So at this point, I have to figure it out, and I found that people are doing Amazon, and I was really lucky that my first product worked. It was silicone wine glass that I didn't know that I have to customize. I didn't know anything. I
Did
just
you see like amazing.com or something online, or what? Just watching YouTube videos, or just Seller University?
Just Seller University,
Okay.
and I went to read the blogs, and people were saying you have to ask people for the reviews. I was there when we had to, like, we've been listing products, getting reviews, and getting sales. So that was super simple. And by investing 5 grand, I got 14,000 on top. So I got 14,000 profit. To tell you how I was happy is like not tell you anything. I was like really jumping, screaming, yelling. I was happy that, like, okay, I'm in America. I found a business that can work, and I understand because I have background with SEO. I have big background with the agencies, with graphics, so I understand how I can improve it. What I didn't know, that product's supposed to be customized. What I didn't know is the approach to work with the suppliers. So all this stuff I had to learn in between 2015 and 2019. That was like a very hard time where I was learning something that I never learned before.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little story. When you're in that learning process, and this is not to pick on you, I'm just
Yeah,
in that learning
you
process. When I
can
heard
pick
you
on me.
on that podcast with Bradley, I think it might have been 2017, because you had like a Russian community.
Yeah, I still have this community.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
still have it. But you had like a little Russian community. You're like training Russian people, and it's still when you're in the process of learning. And I remember Bradley asked you something about profit margins, and you said some crazy number on a profit margin. I was like, that doesn't add up. She's leaving something out. I was sitting there listening to the podcast, and I messaged Bradley. You probably actually knew. It's just the way you said it was like you're
Yeah.
leaving something out. A few years later, like 2021, I guess it was, I invited you, 2021 or 2022?
2022 too.
2022, I invited you to speak at the $1 billion Seller Summit. And when Bradley saw the list of speakers, he's like, Kevin, you know who that is, right? You know Izabella. I said, yeah, I've met her, and she's smart. She's like, you remember that's the same person that you told me like 5 years ago on the podcast. I'm like, oh yeah, well, she's smart. She's good enough to speak on the stage, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's I always remember that. And then look, now you're on this podcast, and now we're here, and you're speaking on the stage and everything. It's funny how these things happen.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, I was I was mixing up. I didn't understand in English the right definition of
Yeah, that's
profit.
that's what it was. That's what
Profit
exactly. I
and
realized that
margin.
later is that
Yeah,
it was you just had your words and things backwards, because it's not your native tongue. You're still learning.
yeah. It's like my husband saying, sometimes she just say things. You have to ask her what she actually mean under what she said. So you're absolutely correct. I'm not even deflecting.
So yeah, recently I had a guest on the AMPM podcast, Kat of Pips from the UK, and I was talking to her, and it's like, how did you get into this Amazon space? And she said, I was listening to Danny McMillan's seller sessions, and someone had recommended this podcast, and I was listening to it, and it happened to be you, Kevin. I was listening to the podcast, and I was like, this sounds pretty cool. And I was like, I think I can do this. And that's how she ended up getting into Amazon. Then she's on the podcast. So it's kind of funny how in this world, our little world, how all these things happen. And
Yeah, it is.
and and it's also illustrates why you got to get out there. I mean, you're a big uh, proponent of getting out to events. You guys, your company sponsors a lot of events. You guys get out to a lot of stuff, and it's a small world, and there's so many people that don't get out of their house and don't leave. And I think they're just leaving opportunities on the table like crazy. And sometimes it's you would go to a show and maybe you come back and like, well, that was okay, but I didn't make any buddies, I didn't make any business partners. But it's a long term play. It's building that those points that you can cash in at some point. And I think you're a perfect example of that because you started selling 2015, then you leveraged that into you learned it, went head in, and then you built a Russian community, right? Can you talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit?
Yeah. This community started, I believe, in 2016, and I was saying I'm not going to teach anybody how to do business on Amazon. And because I had the community back in Russia, and that was pretty big community back in those days, and
These are
people been
Russian Amazon sellers or Russian
no,
e-commerce
just
stuff?
just Russian entrepreneurs. They've been
Okay.
following me for years, and they've been always asking me, like, "Listen, how it's there in America? What is going on? Tell us
Okay.
more. Tell us more."
This was
And
a
this,
group you started, or was it was somebody
uh,
else's group and you
no,
participated in?
that was my group. That was my group,
Okay.
but because also I was teaching people since my 17, so my coaching practice didn't go anywhere for years till I came to United States and I said, okay, I'm not coaching people anymore. I don't want to do
So
it
you were
anymore.
coaching in Russia in addition to the interior design and all the other stuff you're doing. You were coaching entrepreneurs on how to be entrepreneurs and how to better their lives.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit confusing here. So my first coaching was about how to create a trade show. And this is how I get into the business in general. And like to tell very long story short, I was working when I was 17, I was working for the manufacturer, like huge manufacturer. And they told me, okay, listen, now you have to create a trade show. I'm like, what do you mean I have to create a trade show? I have no idea how to do that. What is the trade show? And they told me, like, okay, listen, now you have to go and learn, and we don't care how you're gonna do it, but you have to do the trade show is in, like, I think 2 months. And I'm 17. I just got into the college, and I'm working and I'm learning, and now I have this freaking trade show that I have to figure out how to do. I learned it. I learned also how he's teaching people, and I was just like, how much did we pay? We paid $350, and it was 1999, the end of no hold on 2000. That was the year of the 2000. I'm like, okay, so we paid $350 for me to learn from this guy. I did the trade show, I got my practice, I came to the company that hired this guy, and I said, okay, now I have practice, I want to teach people how to do this trade show because, and I'm gonna, like, I want to do it the same price that this guy. And they're like, okay, we don't have enough of teachers, that of coaching people. Go and do that. And I got so happy, I got so excited. I was super nervous, but I did it. And they invited me again. And I'm like, okay, so now you're paying me $350 a day, and I, like, for 2 days it's $700, but you're charging people. Like, if you have, like, I think they have like 16 or 20 people. I'm like, okay, so what if I will create the company that will invite speakers, that will speak, and that will teach the world how to do stuff. So I found one of the best coaching people in the industry, and we've been teaching people how to do the contracts. We've been doing the corporate trainings. We didn't do any B2C. We've been doing only B2B. So we've been selling corporate trainings for the companies, and we had so many different topics, from like how to do the trade show to how to close clients, how to find clients, how to do the right conversations, and like many of them. And then I sold this company when I was 18, but I never stopped teaching people. And I was teaching people for years. It was just nonstop experience till
Not
I
trade show stuff, but just entrepreneurship and whatever was the thing at the moment.
usually it was applying on the business I was doing at the time,
Okay.
plus the classes I was doing in the past. And this is how just the experience was building up. So like I got this experience, I got this experience, and I was just like translating it out there. And then I came here. I'm like, no, I'm not teaching people how to do business on Amazon because, first of all, I don't know yet how to do it myself, and second of all, it's English, and I'm not really fluent here. And to translate it to Russians, their mentality is different. So that was a lot of no-nos. But I ended up in 2017 to do my first class when we crossed our first seven figure. It was the end of the year, and I started teaching people how to do business on Amazon. Russians, yeah, that there've been Russians. There was a lot of Russians here, and that was pretty hard because I
So
was
these were
always
Russians in the U.S. or these were Russians
Russians in the U.S. plus
in
Russians there. So
and
they've been
Ukrainians probably too.
Ukrainians, Russians, people from Kazakhstan, and like all over the world. And the toughest part here for me was to teach people how to do it right. And for me, it's been always important to have a success rate because like when you're teaching people, and I hate when these fake gurus do that, they are teaching with the purpose to charge and they don't care about success. Which, generally speaking, you don't have to care about people's success because the purpose of the coach is to translate the knowledge, to make sure the person received the knowledge. But this is my thing. I always care, and I cannot sleep well if someone is not succeeding. For me, it is like for my mentality, it is super bad. Like I can't sleep normally. And this is how agency came out in 2019 because I decided, okay, instead of like teaching people, let's just do it for people. Especially the agency worked out pretty well when it was COVID and we've been sitting home, we didn't go anywhere. So everything we've been doing is just we've been doing agency and we've been doing our Amazon. Our Amazon was pretty cool in 2020. Yeah. So and it has been happening with Russian speaking people, and this is how Russian community been growing. We had a lot of successful stories. We had a lot of successful screenshots when people have been launching their private labels under my supervision, and of course this supervision was improving from year to year because we went from like one type of the main picture to a different type of the main pictures when we started testing them and etc. I was improving my coaching sessions as well, but it took so much time. And when you teach people, you cannot guarantee people that they will receive information on the way how you want them to receive information. And when they're receiving information, you cannot guarantee that these people will implement it properly. And this is where those links are failing. And this is something that I still like. If someone will ask me, how would you fix it? I don't know. But people are having these blanks in between. Like, I learned from somebody. The moment they learn from somebody, now they don't know how to implement it properly. Or they're adjusting some actions how they can implement it. And then they're not doing it correctly. And this is the failures happening. And when we created the agency, our success rate went up. We still have some like unsuccessful stories, of course. Like it will not be truth if I will say we have 100% success rate. Absolutely not. We have failures. But the success rate went up. It became easier to help people, but it became more expensive, of course, because by helping people, you're literally you focus everything you have into this help. So people are paying you for your experience and to be hands free. So we've been calling Amazon hands free at some point, and then I decided no, it is not true. We cannot do Amazon hands free because we're not running Amazon for them. We're helping them to launch their Amazon to the launch point. Like we can help with like first couple months of sales, but then they have to run their business. So yeah, this is something about my coaching and my Russian community.
So, but now it started with Russians, but now Ritz Momentum does. It's not just Russians; it's anybody now, right? It's yeah.
Yeah, I have an American husband, so he taught me how to speak English. Now it's Americans, and the biggest challenge was actually to switch from Russian speaking community to English speaking community, and to gain trust here, like to talk to Kevin King, to talk to Bradley Sutton. It was so challenging, and to prove out there that like, listen, here's the girl oh, not a girl anymore from like Russia that came here and she wants to be with you guys on the same stage.
That's someone you're successful where you came from, and you know you're good, but you didn't have the confidence yet because of the language barrier, right?
Language barrier, and I had to have some like successful stories. Like if you ask me like, can you show me your successful sellers on Amazon, I can pull that up. So, and if you ask me, can you show me unsuccessful stories, I also can pull them up. So I can do
We
both.
all have those. If you've been doing this a while, you have some we have war stories. We have unsuccessful stories. Yeah, but you've turned it into it's a family affair. Your daughter, your 17-year-old daughter is like actively involved. Isn't your husband doing like this is like the whole family. Do you have your baby doing stuff? Is the baby posing for pictures? Or?
My babies, I'm waiting till someone will reach out to me and say, listen, I have the baby product. Can you do some pictures for me? I am waiting for that. So if you guys are listening out there, I will do it for free just to take my baby to someone else's listing. Uh, so Eliza, she turned 18. She's an adult now. She's making her own decisions. I don't have to be there at all. But it's a joke. So she was watching me doing Amazon for like again since 2015, and she was always saying, "I don't want to do what you do." And she saw me doing business in Russia, and she loved it. She saw like how I was running not hundreds, like 50, 60 people at the same time. And we had so many clients that was so visible because we had a huge office here in Orlando. We have like pretty small space, but we have it. And she was watching me and she said, no, I don't like what you do. I will never do what you do. And then when she turned, I believe, 16 or closer to 16, she said, listen, can I try? I'm like, well, if you want to try, try. And she substituted within the time, she substituted two people, two adults that been doing their job poorly than she was doing at her 16. And that was very hard to admit that like she's so talented, because as mom you don't want to praise your child so much by saying my child is the smartest, my child can do stuff. Usually you're down, at least me, I'm downgrading. I'm like, no, she's not ready, no, she's not there yet, no, she's supposed to be under control, and like I have to check every single thing that she's doing. And then I realized she doesn't have to be supervised on the way how I get used to supervise these adults. And she's probably one of these like thousands of people that can do her job better than adult. And she's doing it pretty good. So the results that she's showing, the approach she learned, how she's working with clients and she's working with our designers. So she's our project manager in at Ritz Momentum. If she will decide to quit tomorrow, I will be without like my right and left hand. So she is really important person in the agency. My husband, he was Marine. He is Marine. Marines are never in the past. He resigned this year. And when we've been thinking what he's going to do, and then we're like, okay, what are you going to do? And we've been thinking and thinking and thinking. And he said, you know what? Like, I have skills. He got some offers from financing companies. And he said, the skills that I have will be much better to help grow our agency. Let's just do it together. I'm like, okay, that's amazing. Like, I love to do things together. So now we have this just out of nowhere. I never planned it. So now we have kind of family-based business where we all holding our hands and helping each other uh, to struggle, to grow, to hustle. So yeah, we can name it as like family-based business.
Yeah, I can tell when I see you guys at events and you're all there. You're like all running as a team. Like you all kind of know your place and your job and your duty, and it's like just clicking, which is really cool to see. It's like no one's like a boss bossing someone else around. It's like everybody just knows what they need to do and when they need to do it, and they take care of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You're still selling route now too, right? You still have or is it just the agency stuff, or you still actually have active seller accounts selling?
I still have several actual seller accounts. We launched back in 2021. Yeah, back in 2021, we launched 6 brands. 3 died immediately. I'm like, okay, That's not gonna work. Three of them are still okay. One of them probably will grow into something, and if we will do everything correctly, like we do with our clients, because we're literally not putting all our focus into our Amazon account, then we probably will exit in 2025, I think, 2024, 2025.
So with the agency, is the goal to build that and then sell it, or
With
what's
the
the goal?
agency plan is,
Because you sold all your past agencies, and so is this
so
one?
the plan is, you're absolutely correct. Pattern cannot be changed. I don't believe that pattern can be changed that fast. I think we will grow agency to some extent, and we will exit it maybe also like 2025. Maybe they will actually come together as a package with the Amazon Seller Central account, because I strongly believe you cannot be a service provider if you are not selling on Amazon. It's just impossible. You have to keep up with all this PPC and with the updates and listings. Like, seriously, almost every other day when I'm logging in at their account, I'm like, damn, something new again. They change some stuff. So you have to keep yourself updated, and all the software that we use, they all linked to Amazon, and they link to Amazon Seller Central, and this is where you see like all the dashboards, what is going on, and etc. So like, you have to sell to provide services. There's no way to go around, and like I don't believe in service providers that don't sell on Amazon. And the agency, I don't know, probably will sell it with the account too, because that will be like, listen, this is where you sell, this is where you learn, and this is where you implement.
Well, you see a lot of service providers, not all, but a lot of service providers are failed Amazon sellers. So a
Yeah.
lot, I mean, there's so many service providers and software companies in this space now that when you started back in 2015, that's when I was starting too, as the FBA model. I've been selling on Amazon longer than that, but FBA, this did not exist, and now there's a lot of people that get into it. They either fail as a seller and they switch to an agency, or they get to, and sometimes it's not, they don't fail because they did something wrong. It's sometimes they fail because they ran out of money, and they're like, I can't cash flow this, so let me do an agency where I can sell digital air and sell my time, and I don't have to invest all this crazy money in inventory and take a risk, that someone else pay me up front. What makes Ritz Momentum different than the 500 other agencies out there that will do your listings and do your copy and help you with launch something? What makes you guys different?
I know that right now there are plenty of agencies that are doing listing copywriting and SEO copywriting, and they're increasing conversion. This is not our main thing. I know that we do it great. I know that we can guarantee the results will be improved if one client is coming to us and they're saying like, this is my listing, can you do something? And we can project how much we can improve the listing and how much money they potentially can make after the improvement. We can even split the payments by saying like, listen, you don't have to pay us in full. Let's make a deal that you will pay us after you will see the improvements of your listing, if we're really confident in the product and in the potential. There are agencies that do the same. We do reverse engineering. We're learning the audience before we do some type of the movements before we'll start to improve something. We have to learn who are we selling and why we're selling and what are we selling before it will be just BPA free, FDA approved, stainless steel or something else, right? So we don't put just features. We're selling experience on the listings. Our main thing is that we're doing the product research and product development and product validation for people. This is our strength. So we're finding and validating the products that people want to sell, and we're helping them to sell on the way how they will be profitable, to make sure they are winning their market before they go on the market. So this is something that we do, and I would say we probably only one company on the market that do it in full. And like Stephen Pope,
You give them the product, or they come to
yeah,
you and say, I have this product is my idea. And you validate it, or do you say they come to you say, I want to sell on Amazon, or I want to extend my brand, and you make recommendations to them of what they should sell?
it can be both. It can be both. People are coming to us and they're asking, listen, I want to sell the toothbrush. Okay, let us validate the toothbrush. Like, the toothbrush that you have, will you be able to succeed with this toothbrush. And we are validating it through different type of the software, and we use all these tools for building relationships and between the tools to understand if we can make this decision towards the toothbrush, if you can actually sell it. Maybe you cannot sell it as a toothbrush keyword, maybe you can sell it like brown brush with, like, I don't know, some special handle or whatever. And the second part that we do, we're developing when we're finding the product. If people come into us and they're saying, I don't have a product to sell, then we're building the product from scratch, the product that we found. But we have to make sure the product we found and we developed and we validated, we tested against competitors. And here's the very tricky part. So when we test the products, we have to test against competitor we want to win. We also have to make sure this competitor will be in the market in like 3-4 months from today. This is the approximate time when our product we develop will be on the market. And we have to make sure that other 2-3 competitors that are behind this main competitor, we're winning them as well. Because sometimes if you will be based on the big competitor, based on the numbers, some small competitors are also pretty strong with the keywords and with other stuff, and they have some benefits that you're also supposed to go after. And they have some strength because of maybe influencers or brand awareness or something else. So you have to win pretty much all of them. And if you want them, you have a buffer for the next usually like 6-12 months to win the product, to win the market when you will be there. We'll also taking into the consideration the amount of reviews that you will have when you launch your product on Amazon, because initial up to 30 reviews by a Vine program supposed to be so helpful, where people will have to buy your product because they want to, not because they have to. And when they will look in the competitor and into the Amazon, into the product that you are selling, they will choose to buy this one, what we developed, against the one that is having like 14,000 reviews on it. And right now we don't know if Amazon will consider to suspend the amount of reviews and we will see ratings, or we will see the amount of reviews and the ratings. So we don't know how Amazon will actually list the products on a page one in the next couple of months. But up to right now, Amazon is still testing ratings versus amount of reviews. But at the end of the day, we still want the buyers to purchase the product because this product been developed on the way how they want to purchase it.
Yeah, they say 21 is the magic number statistically for people to believe the reviews. And once you hit 21, they'll actually believe it. And then it becomes a game of, do I believe 21 reviews at 4.5 stars, or do I believe 10,000 reviews at 4.5 stars? And people will typically go for the 10,000 at 4.5 stars. And that's a big thing that a lot of people look at when it's determining how competitive this product. And if Amazon makes these changes that they're testing right now in India and the US and some other markets, they're doing some other stuff in India that a lot of people don't know right now they're testing. I think it's going to level the playing field if they actually make these changes permanent. I think it's actually a good thing for the customer. You have some of the bigger sellers pretty upset about it because they're like, I've been working my ass off and getting reviews and doing all this, and now you're going to say that you're not going to show that I have 10,000, and this guy that has 21 or 30 reviews, like you just said on the Vine, can come in and compete with me. That sucks. That's not fair. And I'm like, yes, it is fair, because your product has an unfair advantage because your product may suck. This guy's new product may be better. Maybe he read all your reviews and he made improvements or made something different. He doesn't have a chance. And so the customer is not getting a chance to actually see a better product because of this fact. And so it's going to I think it's going to open the door, actually, if they make this permanent. And I think they should. Casey Goss actually talked about this years ago. If you listen he used to have a podcast called Follow the Data when he ran Viral Launch. That company's still around, but barely hanging on.
Yeah.
But he talked about it, I think 2018, maybe 2017, 2018, about what he actually said, this is what Amazon needs to do. And it's basically what they're doing right now. And I think it could actually open the door back up for more new people to get into Amazon. Because right now there's a big barrier. In the reviews are the biggest moat. The aggregators were looking at how many reviews do you have, and it's the biggest moat around a product. And if that goes away, then it's going. And now what they're doing with 90% of the people, testing 90% of the people said this, or 70% of the people didn't like this. It's going to make for better products and better experiences. It's going to change how we as sellers do things and how you as your company is helping people find stuff. So when you find something, are you developing these from scratch like some of the other guys do out there? Or are you finding, if it's a toothbrush, are you helping design new molds and come up with new designs? Or are you just finding it, on Alibaba or at trade shows or at the source and just kind of modifying it a little bit for your clients?
So when we do the product development, it's supposed to be based on what the buyers are looking for. So it cannot be like, listen, we're creating the product because we decided it's going to be just different. So we have to learn the customer avatar. And recently, actually, Data Dive came up with a new feature when they're summarizing the experience of the clients and they're creating the customer avatar for you, which makes it a little bit easier, but we still do it manually a lot. So if the person wants the toothbrush that will be ergonomically comfortable in their hand and they're actually talking about it, then we probably will consider this part as a part of the development. If people are not searching for any additional features and they're like, I just want to like leopard pattern, then we probably will create just additional pattern. But usually don't do that. We're trying to consider people's needs, accumulate all their needs into one product, and by talking to the supplier, if it's possible, where we will not be able to increase the cost of goods to the roof and back. So then we will include these features into the product. So it's never happening just because we go to Alibaba, search something, and like look at what will be trendy. We're really learning what people want to have on the product. We are making sure that product development will not take people in production for like 6 months. We have to make sure it's easy to manufacture. So it will not be something like we have to create the mold that will be creating like, I don't know, for 6 months. So it's supposed to be still something simple.
Are you just doing the US market, or you do other marketplaces too?
We're trying to focus on US. If you will do everything, you will end up with nothing. We can validate product for Australia and Europe, but we're trying to be focused on United States.
So you do a lot of stuff to actually expand your knowledge out there. You sponsor events, you go to a lot of events, you try to speak at quite a few, you join high-end masterminds, like I think you just recently joined like Driven,
Yes.
which is like, was it 25, 30 grand, something like that,
Yep.
to join Driven for a year. You're in the Offer Mafia that Sean has, where there's a lot of sharing. What how much does that kind of stuff really help you in your business?
It does help. With Driven Mastermind, I feel myself as the stupidest person in the room, and that's challenging. I
Well,
love
but
it.
you actually want that. You never want to be the smartest person in the room.
That's correct.
That's how you grow. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
And that's why I joined, because I'm like, I have to learn from these people. These people are like right here and I'm right there.
Now, this is for those of you listening. Driven is not an Amazon mastermind. Driven, there's some Amazon sellers and people that sell on Amazon in there, but it's more of a general marketing. It's Perry Belcher's mastermind. It evolved out of the War Room, which is a digital marketer mastermind before that. And I like going to these as well because I use them as brainstorming sessions. I can sit in these, and I go to an Amazon event. I hardly ever sit and listen, or if I'm listening, I'm not paying any attention, because it's stuff I already know, or speakers aren't very good, or they're just talking, they're corporate, and it's nothing actionable there. But you go to something like this, and I like it because there's a little bit of Amazon, there's a little bit of general marketing, a little bit of social media, a little bit of all these different uh, modes of actually selling, and it starts giving you ideas. You're like, oh, what if I took this? These guys are crushing it doing this on ClickFunnels. What if I took that and did this on Amazon, or I took this element and this element? It's really good brainstorming, and I come away with it like, well, I need to take these elements from this other business and apply it here, or mix these principles together, and that's how you stay cutting edge and on leading the pack instead of following the pack on things. So I think they're super valuable. And then like the Offer Mafia. They have monthly meetings. They have a meetup in Florida, and that one is good too because mostly it's other agency people. So they're how do you get clients and how do you do things? And I've seen recently you've picked up on your social media, like you're doing a lot on TikTok and stuff. Um, how is that going for you, and what's that like doing?
So, but the TikTok is for us is not going anywhere, but my team is just experimenting with TikTok. And Kevin, you're the only one person that is telling me you see me on the TikTok all the
Oh,
time. So
really?
you're my one follower.
I don't think I even follow you. I think it just maybe it's your phone when we went to dinner and at an event together. Maybe it's your phone in proximity. You know how you ever go to a concert and then you're like, you're at a concert. This happened to me. I was at a concert with my wife, my ex soon to be ex wife, at one point, and we were watching Carlos Vives, and there's a cute girl in front of me the whole concert, and I'm not, you just naturally you see there's a cute girl dancing in front of you. Well, like later that or the next day, it comes up on my social media. Hey, you might know so and so, and it's that girl. I'm like looking at her. She looks familiar. And I'm looking. Oh, that's the girl that was in front of me. So maybe that's what happened.
Maybe. Well,
TikTok is a reading.
yeah, their data is reading
It's
is
scary.
crazy. It's scary. It is scary. We're not having any business from TikTok, and I know we should do business there. We should do a better job. We are very good on Instagram. Instagram is like really giving us a lot of leads. We started recently doing LinkedIn. We've been doing outreach. Outreach didn't work for us, but I know it works for a lot of people on Offer Mafia. So we are trying to do different. We're building funnels right now. We're really after driven event. I'm like, okay, we've been always thinking about funnels. We've been doing them with like left hand somewhere there. So let's do it right. So right now we're building funnels that will be a kind of evergreen that will work for us as another income stream. And yeah, those masterminds are keeping me on the tippy toes because I see people that are more successful and I like it because you feel that you're not doing enough, you're not good enough on a good way, not on the way where you will beat yourself and you will put yourself in a depression mode, but on the way where you want to grow and you want to be out there and you will feel confident to hanging out with all these people because you're at least in a similar level, and those people are like top 1% of United States. So it's important.
So coming to the U.S., what's you made a comment? I think we were at dinner one time about something that people take for granted. I think it was. I don't remember your exact words, but people that live in the United States take it for granted how easy it is or how good they have it here when it comes to entrepreneurship and business. Can you explain that a little bit, or tell me your thoughts on that, and maybe slap a few people upside the head here so they understand how good they actually have it?
You know where to push the button, Kevin. So as an immigrant, from my perspective, I can tell people that been born in United States do not understand how valuable is an economy, how valuable is the free speech, how valuable is the opportunity that you guys have here. Because if you've been born in United States, at your 18 years old, if your parents did a good job, you have a perfect credit score. You can go buy the car with zero payment down. You can go and buy any house you want with like 5% or zero down if it's your first time purchaser. You have opportunities to build business because banks are literally throwing money into you if you have a good credit score. You have open doors everywhere. You have free internet in the libraries. You have everything. You have free iPhones. Guys, you really have everything. Like country that I came from, you can buy the phones. I mean, right now something probably changed, but you can buy the phone only for the full price. So now let's just switch it. You can have a car only if you pay the full price. You can have a phone only if you pay the full price. You can have a mortgage only if you pay at least 20 to 30% down. Let's now think how many people will be homeowners in the United States now, right? So, how many people will be driving the car? How many people will have the phones? Then, at the end of the day, if you file the taxes in Russia, in total, you have to pay, I believe, up to 50 something percent. And then what are you going to have in the pocket? And this is where we're talking about like honesty and dishonesty and being transparent or not being transparent. So the opportunity people have here and they're beaching that like, oh, it's not enough, or oh, government is not giving us enough of like food stamps or something. Russia doesn't have the definition of food stamps, or like Ukraine or like other countries. It's just not there. Here, you cannot be hungry. You can go to the church and ask for money and for food, and you can have it. And for people out there who are not living in the United States, they don't have this opportunity that people have here and choosing not to have this opportunity. So this is something probably that a lot of people don't even understand.
What about, though, a lot of people think that everybody wants to move to, everybody, you see it, people coming across the border from Mexico and people trying to get to the United States and live the American dream. And there's a lot to that. And like, I agree with you. The opportunity, I've traveled the world. I've seen, I was married to a Colombian. I understand a lot more than a lot of people on that. And there is great opportunity here. But a lot of people don't realize that some people that come here, that immigrate here, they sometimes they come and they think, I'm just going to go to America and just start picking up dollar bills off the sidewalk. And those people are a little bit disappointed, but the ones that are coming and they're willing to work, it's you look at some of the Asian communities and stuff, the people that come here and they build up these businesses and just completely change their lives for for themselves and for their children's and everything. And some of the Indian, the programmers, and it's from all races. The opportunities are great, but then you get to some of them, they're like, once they're here and they're in the American system and they're doing well, a lot of them actually get homesick. And then you see some of them at some point, either for family reasons, they got to go take care of a sick mother or father, or they just start missing their buddies or their culture or their food, and they end up moving back. What do you think you'll ever go back? Or do you think you're here, you're done, and you're here for the long term?
Oh, it's my United States is my place, and I hear what you're saying. And I meet a lot of people here in the United States that are immigrants, never learn one word in English, and they just like don't understand what you're saying. And we can talk about it too. But regarding me, like I never go back. No, like something that I have here, I will never be able to get anywhere else. I can travel to the different places and I can come back. We've been talking to my husband a couple days ago. I'm like, imagine if you have $30 million and you can build any house you want at any place you want. It cannot be commercial. And he said, it's like, you know me, you're already not priming me to do business with $30 million. I'm like, no, it's supposed to be your primary property. And we've been doing this like workshop, and we decided that like, if we're gonna like, if we have the opportunity to build like the castle, for example, it will be the castle in the United States. Because United States is like, it's a proven place for the opportunity for multiple generations ahead. This economy never changed. It's only getting stronger. And if you're smart enough, and not every single person is an entrepreneur, that's why people are coming back. People are coming back to something that they get used to the culture they get used to. A lot of people get used to suffer and they feel confident to suffer. I don't. I hate suffer. So, yeah, I'm not one of those people that want to come back, but I know the stories when they don't want to stay just because they have to work. United States is the country of capitalism. You have to work to have something. You can have something, but you have to work for it.
True statement. Well, Izabella, it's been great. We could sit here and probably talk for another couple hours. We talked for like an hour before we even started recording this. I'm like, oh wait, we got to hit the button. It's been awesome having you on here. If people want to learn more or follow you or find out about your agency or what you're up to.
That's so simple. It's LinkedIn, Izabella Ritz with the Z and double L, and Ritz like Ritz Carlton or Famous Cracker, whatever you want to compare me to. And you can always go to our website, ritzarm.com, arm like arm. And fill out the form. My team will reach out to you pretty quick. If it's a weekend, then on a Monday, first thing in the morning, and we will be happy to help pretty much anybody. We're here to help.
And you've got, even if you're a subscriber to the $1 Billion Sellers newsletter, when you first subscribe, you get a coupon book. And if you look in that little coupon book, I think there's something in there, a little Scooby snack from Ritz Momentum as well in that coupon book. So make sure you check that out as well.
Yeah, thank you for this, Kevin.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure I'll be seeing you again soon, maybe even in Hawaii next year for the $1 Billion Seller Summit. You never know. And it's always great chatting with you. As Izabella just said, the opportunities we all have selling on Amazon are some of the greatest opportunities ever. And if you don't take advantage of that as an entrepreneur right now in this space, you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. It's a great talk with Izabella, fascinating story, amazing entrepreneur, someone that is really doing things right and doing things well, and congrats to her. We'll be back again next week with another amazing episode. We'll be talking about aggregators and AI and a whole bunch of cool stuff with my guest. So don't miss that next Thursday when that new episode drops. Before we leave today, I got some words of wisdom for you. You know, you get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problems you solve. That's Elon Musk that said that. You get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problems you solve. Have a great weekend. See you again next week.